Hello, Rich Templeton here with Steelhead Factoring. I'm here with Ashley Collins from our underwriting department. Ashley, thank you for joining us. Today we're actually going to be looking at the barriers to entry in a couple different ways. The barriers to entry in starting up a trucking company, and then also kind of the hurdles faced in trying to get financing or factoring, loans, whatever it might be, those types of things. We get a lot of questions about that on the front end, along the way, and underwriting.
Right.
And so we figured we'd kind of address some of those points right here today, here really quick. So let's start first getting into the industry, getting into trucking in its rawest. A lot of times we see the cost of insurance as one of the top inhibitors. So tell me a little bit about that.
Right. So a lot of people ask us, what am I expecting to pay when I get insurance? And it is so hard to tell. It depends on the kind of truck you have. It depends how far you're going to go. It depends what you're going to haul. It depends what your driving history is. So I always say, get a quote first before you even start. You have no idea what you're going to be looking at. And you don't want to get halfway through getting your authority to realize you can't afford the insurance to cover what you want to do.
It's good
So,
pre-planning.
Pre-planning for
yeah.
sure. I mean,
To make sure it all pencils.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many
Because-
people go so far and they can't do the last step.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense because there's a lot of things that I think they keep in mind to get a trucking company started. You know, the
Right.
lease. You think about fuel. You think about all this other stuff. But the insurance is such a massive variable,
Right.
and so having that in mind once you're kind of just getting the ball rolling is good. So tell me a little bit. I know we've had a lot of buzz on Insurance Radius. So these
Right.
guys that get their insurance policy and either they know and sometimes they don't know what their
Right.
radius looks like. So tell me about that.
So a lot of insurance companies will just write a policy with a 500-mile radius unless you tell them otherwise. So if you tell them specifically that you want it unlimited, then they'll make it unlimited. But if you don't, then it looks better on paper for them to give you the 500-mile radius version. It's a lot cheaper. It makes you seem like, I can afford this, as opposed to, actually, I need all of the lower 48 and this policy isn't going to work for me.
But then we're finding these guys who are kind of in a rut when it comes to getting outside a region, and they want to make
Right.
those long hauls, those money-making opportunities, and then that might be an issue with the broker or a finance company or anything compliance-wise.
Right, and your agent will probably tell you it's fine, you can go outside of your radius 20% of the time, and that is okay. But you have to then restrict yourself to only finding loads within that, and that's really just only going to harm your business if you put those restrictions on yourself. Unless you had a dedicated route, then you're going to be a lot happier in your little 500-mile niche. But if you don't have that kind of situation already, don't put those restrictions on yourself to begin with.
Yeah. Well, and it's a great segue because I think finding loads is also one of those barriers on the front end, just to get launched, just to get
Right.
started, because it seems so easy. Loads are out there. I'm sure I'll be fine. I'll get this all up and going, and then loads will, they'll be calling me. They're
Right.
going to fall in my lap. And so you probably see, I know a lot of times these guys when they're just getting launched, that they might struggle a little bit in kind of filling that gap with loads and opportunity.
Yeah, finding loads is one of the biggest struggles. A lot of people, you're on the road, you don't have time to plan for your next load, so you need another set of hands that are helping you. That's where a dispatching service can come in handy if you don't have someone in your home office who's able to do that for you. And they do charge a percentage, but you really have to decide if it's worth your time to give an extra 5% to make a whole lot more. And then once you're rolling and you know the brokers you can work with, you don't have to keep using a dispatch service.
It's a good jumping off point.
Definitely.
Get started, and maybe it's a good jumping off point to kind of hang there for a while too, if it makes sense for your business. But until you get the hang of it, you see these guys who kind of learn the ropes a little bit,
Right.
especially if they're just getting going. Sometimes with experience, maybe they already kind of have some know-how or they have some connections, and that's great too. But otherwise, yeah, absolutely. I think dispatchers can be key in
Right.
getting things going, give you that little extra help so that you can focus on the things that you're good at.
Right. And
Driving.
Say you're a company driver, you've never had to deal with brokers before. It would be really helpful to have someone deal that for you, learn it, do it yourself, and then take that final step on your own.
All right. So let's go to the next thing here, filing authority. So
Right.
that's kind of where you need to get started once you are really looking to get going.
Right.
And a lot of guys will turn to either some sort of resource, people they know, online, just because it seems like it can be a little confusing. I know I've gone through a setup a time or two with some folks, and yeah, it's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of confusion to it. So tell me about that.
So the FMCSA recently redesigned their website and the way that you would apply for authority. They tried to make it more user-friendly. In a way it is, but they still throw in the jargon and the terms that you need a dictionary to look up and figure out what they're really trying to ask you. So I see a lot of people that come to us with mistakes on their authority. And they're not huge mistakes, but they are things that do need to be fixed. For instance, they didn't know if they were applying for an MC number or a freight forwarding number, and then they end up getting both. Well, they pay $300 for each of those when they only needed the MC number. And that's all because of the way the website is worded. It's very confusing. So I can't suggest highly, if you've never done it before, pay someone to do it, because it leads to costly mistakes.
And Wikipedia is only going to help you so much on that.
That's right. They don't have a flow chart.
Yeah. It's only going to break it down so much for you.
Exactly.
And, I know they do have like the live chat on the FMCSA website, but again, how long are you sitting on hold waiting for somebody there? So again, it's what's worth it for your time, possible mistakes, because how many times has somebody come back, after a mistake was made the first time, and then they come to us and hopefully we can fix it, kind of thing. And then it just turns out to be extending out the process.
Right. And I'll tell you one story about that. We had a applicant who came to us and their authority was all set up and ready. And then I went to go look up their business filing and it wasn't done. So I thought, okay, well, we can help you file your business filing. And so it'll match the name on your authority. Well, we go to file their business for them and someone else already has the name that they intended to use.
Yeah.
So their authority, they can't use that name anymore. They have no rights to the business name. So they had to go through, change their name on their authority, change their name on their insurance. It was just a really big mess that...
Big setback.
Didn't need to happen.
So you got filing for your authority. What about filing for the business?
So filing for the business, it's also something you want to think about really clearly. We have people who would put their whole family on the business, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you just need to think to the end goal of that is those people are going to have to sign for your business everywhere you go. And if that's not going to be convenient for you, or it's going to be, cause problems to get your mother and a state away to sign documents, maybe don't add those people.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. All right, well, definitely thank you for kind of going through this. We have another segment we're going to do that's going to go through the barriers to getting the financing or factoring or anything like that when it comes to your business. So stay tuned for that. We'll have a link to that as well. So check that out. Ashley, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Till next time.